Film processing labs that accept sheet films seem to be becoming somewhat of an endangered species lately. So if you don't have one near where you live and you're not developing your own film, you may have to ship it somewhere. But how do you go about packaging it to protect it in transit? In this video, I'll show you on camera and exactly how I do that. So stick around. First things first, what do you guys think of the new studio setting? It's a bit dark and it's still evolving, but I'm hoping this is at least a little better to look at. I made the obligatory pilgrimage to IKEA for shelving, you can see behind me. Seems like that's become sort of a rite of passage for a YouTube channel, so that must mean that I'm one of the big kids now. But anyhow, some of you veteran large format photographers out there might do your own developing, or you might have your own method for shipping sheet film, so this might not be very interesting to you. And if not, no worries, I'll catch you in the next one. But before you go, if you do have additional advice or tricks that work for you, maybe you can comment those ideas down below. One of the things I've really appreciated lately is the wisdom that's been shared in the comment section, since it gives not only myself, but other viewers who might be beginners the chance to learn from the more seasoned photographers out there. So if you got the time, sure appreciate the comments. So the topic of today's video actually comes from you guys. A couple times now I've been asked how I ship my film off to the lab for processing, and Terry Thomas actually gave me the idea for this video by asking, do you use any kind of filler in the boxes to keep the sheets from moving around and scratching each other? Sending off exposed film to be processed might be a good subject for a future video. First off, thanks Terry for the video idea. And to answer his question, I wondered the same thing when I went to ship my first box of film off to the lab, and here's what I came up with. Once I'm done shooting and I've got all of these film holders with exposed film in them, I'll separate them by development process. So all of the color negative I shoot uses C41, and the color reversal uses E6, for example, black and white, so forth. The lab I use doesn't care if it's Kodak Ektar 100 or Portra 160. They both use the C41 development process, so those go together, which is indicated on the back of the film box if you're not sure. So I unload like process together into one box. I put the sheets right back into the triple fold box that they come from the factory in. Now, of course, the film doesn't fit snugly inside the box. This is just a test sheet that I have that's already ruined. You would do this in complete darkness, of course, but for demonstration, you can see that there's room for it to slide around and potentially scratch or damage itself if there was dust or some kind of particles on the surface of the film. That leads me to the specifics of Terry's question. Do I put any kind of filler material or anything in there to prevent it from doing this in transit? When you open a fresh box of film, you tear the stickers that hold it closed, flip it open once and then a second time, and then inside the box, the film is packaged inside of a paper or foil-lined pouch of some sort. Kodak looks like this sort of paper thing, and Fujifilm uses this synthetic kind of material. I think Ilford actually used some similar, although I haven't shot that film, so I'm not quite exactly sure what it looks like. I think it's black, though. As I understand it, this dark bag acts as an added layer of light proofing and provides a bit of moisture barrier for the unexposed film inside. Inside of that, the film comes sandwiched between two pieces of cardstock. Kodak is two separate pieces, and Fuji has this kind of fold-over thing going on. I'll take that stack of exposed film I've unloaded from my holders and actually put it right back into all the packaging it came from the factory in. So this is just one sheet, but you get the idea. So the whole stack would go back sandwiched in between the two pieces of cardstock. So one on the top and one on the bottom. And then that goes back into the dark bag. And then I fold the whole thing over and put it right back into the triple fold box that it comes with. Then to hold the film box closed to prevent it from accidentally being opened, I'll rubber band it shut. I like these really thick rubber bands that I actually get with produce from my local grocery store. They're nice and thick. High quality. This part might be optional for you depending on how much and what film you're sending and if there's multiple types, but I like to take a post-it note and write how many sheets are in the box and what process is required. Sometimes I've had to ship C41 color negative film inside of a T-Max 100 black and white box, for example. So this just makes it very clear to the lab what's inside the box, and just in case something gets lost in communication or something. Then I'll stick that to the film box underneath the rubber band so that it holds it in place. Then to protect the film against moisture or humidity or who knows what on its journey with the courier, I'll take the entire box and put it inside of a Ziploc baggie. Two boxes seem to fit nicely into one freezer baggie. The lab I've been using is North Coast Photographic Services in Carlsbad, California, which is basically just San Diego. And like a lot of them I've seen that do mail order processing, they have this printable mail order form. And I'll fold that and include it in the package so that they know what I'm asking them to do for me. And I'll put that usually inside the Ziploc baggie to protect it as well so that it doesn't get damaged. Between that and this Post-it notes, then they know exactly what I've sent them. That normally gets put inside of a USPS Priority Mail shipping box with some padding materials to help keep it secure. 2 4x5 boxes will fit inside of a small shipping box, which here in the US is just a nice way of shipping things around the country for a flat $8 or $9, and it's worked out well for me so far. And then lastly, I won't trust the tape that comes on the box all by itself. I'll actually tape this closed with packaging tape and seal all of the seams on the top here and the sides, just to make sure it doesn't pop open in transit. Now, while choosing a courier and shipping options, it's worth considering how important whatever it is that you've captured on film is to you. Unfortunately, no dollar amount of shipping insurance is going to bring back rare conditions or perfect light or truly priceless experiences in the event that it gets lost or damaged in transit. Unfortunately, that's an inherent risk we take as film photographers, though. There are many opportunities for failure in the development process that can result in a total loss of those images. And you just have to consider that handing your film off to the postman is indeed adding more risk. That being said, San Diego is only 2 states away from me, and Priority Mail has been good to me so far, fingers crossed. But use your own judgment wherever you are in the world, and consider, for example, what your film is going to go through if it has to sit in a hot mail truck for a week in the dead heat of summer, traveling 3,000 miles across the country to get to the lab. Now, before making this video, I reached out to 3 different popular labs that accept sheet film in the mail and to see what they recommend, just to make sure that I'm giving you guys good advice here. All 3 of them unanimously replied with the same recommendations I just showed you, with a couple of additions I think they're good to cover. Richard Photo Lab suggested taping the film boxes closed along with the rubber bands, putting like a piece on the top and bottom just to hold the lid shut. Since rubber bands can break, and it adds one more layer of protection just to make sure the film box doesn't open accidentally. They also recommended against using non-padded or even padded mailers and use an actual box instead, which is a great point because I've seen film returned to me with the outside mailing box smashed in a little bit. But because it was in a rigid corrugated box, the film box and the film inside it was just fine. The last thing I want to talk about is what if you're just starting out and you don't have an empty film box? I was fortunate when I got my camera that I started out with 5 film holders, which was just enough to hold an entire box of 10 sheets of film. So I loaded that whole box into my holders, which gave me an empty to unload the exposed sheets into. If you don't have this option or you're that many holders, I suggest reaching out to camera stores that sell sheet film, processing labs, or even other photographers around you and see if they can donate an empty film box for you to use. But if all else fails, North Coast Photo mentioned to me in their reply that some customers will actually send the entire film holder with the exposed film still inside of it. They'll send the whole thing. That could be an option for you if you don't have a film box laying around. But I would take extra care in packaging those for shipping, of course. Use lots of bubble wrap and soft packaging materials to make sure they don't get damaged. I don't know that I would recommend this option all the time, though, just because shipping costs are going to be a lot higher due to the bulk and weight, and then twice over because you have to pay to ship it to the lab, and then they charge you shipping to ship it back to you afterwards. Of course, if you have other logistics questions or concerns about getting your film to and from, I'd suggest reaching out yourself to the lab that you intend to use and see what they recommend. I only reached out to 3 of the common ones that I know of, but it's possible that other labs near you may have different recommendations or prefer additional or different steps. So that's how I handle shipping my film to the lab. Hopefully something in here was helpful to you if you're just starting out, or even if you're an old seasoned veteran but are just getting back into things now that the world's evolved a bit since film's heyday. As a side note, if you guys have other suggestions or things that you'd like to see from me, drop those requests in the comments like Terry did. Of course, it's in my interest to create content my viewers want to see. So if it's something I feel like I can do justice to, I'll see what I can do to make that video. So that's it for me on this one. If it was helpful to you, please hit the thumbs up button. That really helps out small channels like mine. And hit that subscribe button while you're down there if you'd like to see more videos from me. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when those videos go up. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.